Hi, I'm Dane Briscoe, and I'm doing my culture fair in Miss Helquist's Geography for Life class, period 5. Australia is in southeastern hemisphere, right here, south of Asia, and for its flags, this is the original flag for the indigenous people of Australia. Black is for the people who were indigenous. Oops, did not mean to press that. And then the yellow is for the sun, and the red is for the outback. Then this is the government's flag. This is the Union Jack, the British flag, right here in the top left. And then these are the 6 stars. They represent the Commonwealth of Australia's 6 states and territories. For Australia's geography, they have the Australian Alps, this mountain right here, which are slightly over 2,000 meters high, and then they have very large coastal plains, and the average elevation is 330 meters. It is the flattest populated continent, and it's the 6th largest country in the world with 2.9 million miles squared in surface area, and then it has some of the most visited natural sites, like this is Bondi Beach and this is the Great Barrier Reef, and those are some of the most tourist attracting places. For Australia's climate, it has about equal parts in plains, plateaus, and forests, and it receives 419 millimeters of rainfall each year. And since it's so big, it has many climates, with the north being hot, tropical, humid summers with warm, dry winters in the north, and then the south has colder summers and rainy winters. For Australia's vegetation, 23% of it was vegetation in Australia. Of it was hummock grassland, and then since all of the volcanoes erupted around 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, the plants already took up all of the carbon from the volcanoes, and there are over 25,000 species of plants, with 3,000 of them being cactus species. And for the wildlife, the indigenous ones are the kangaroo, the dingo, and the koala, along with this platypus. And there are over 140 species of marsupials in Australia, and with the platypus being the most elusive mammal in the world, it is found along waterways and lakes in Australia. It has over 800 species of birds, and it has 21 of the 25 venomous snakes in the world. They rely heavily for economy for their service sectors like IT jobs and tourism, and its main imports are petroleum, cars, and telecom equipment. Its main exports are mining products such as iron, coal, and gold, and natural gas. And its export partners are China and Japan. Their main import partners are China and the US. And it has the 14th largest national economy in the world. Since Britain settled in Australia when Christianity was their set religion, that's why 61% of all religion in Australia is Christianity. And then in 1901, 96% of Australians identified as Christian. Today, around 52% identify as Christian. And 1,820,000 Australians are not in Christian religions, and 48% of Australians identified as atheist. For their culture, they are very similar to coastal U.S., with Christmas being the largest holiday celebrated, and their most popular music genre is rock. And since Australia has many climates, there are many types of clothes worn. In the north, it's mostly shorts and t-shirt because of the hot and humid environment. And in the south, it's long sleeves and long pants because it's generally colder. The most famous actor from Australia is Chris Hemsworth. The most common ethnicity is British, with 67% of the population being descendants with British heritage, and Irish is the second highest with 8.7% of the population, and Italian with 3.8% of the population. The most common language is Australian English, and the most common native language is the Tasmanian dialect. Most native languages in Australia are dying really fast because of it the climate is changing really fast in Australia, and that changes the indigenous people, to want to go to the city and start to become part of the most common population. And since there's a large number of elderly people, the most common job is healthcare, and it has a total population of 24.6 million people, with 3.1 people per square mile. Its government is a constitutional monarchy, and Queen Elizabeth is their monarch at this time. And the schooling in Australia lasts for 13 years. You go from when you're 6 until you're 19. Oops. Okay. The government pays for all healthcare using the taxes that it collects, and that makes it so that there are low insurance rate but high cost of living because of how crowded it is in the cities. For my current event, the Australian had bushfires that were going on for months, that killed over 1 million animals. And firefighters have said that fires are down to a normal, controllable level, and the wildlife is beginning to recover really slowly. For my
authentic
I don't remember the rest of it.
display.
For my authentic display, I did Aussie rules football, which is also known as footy. To score, you must kick the ball in between the opposing sides of 2 middle poles. If you hit a post or score in between these 2 outer poles, it's worth 1 point. There are 36 players on the field at any time, and each team has 22 players. 18 are on the field, and there are 3 available substitutions, and then you get only 1 per game if there's an injury. You get 1 more if one of your players gets injured. You have to bounce or dribble the ball every 15 meters, or pitch it to a teammate, like a volleyball underhand. And if you're tackled or brought to the ground, the opposing team gets a free kick, and they get 30 seconds to take it. And any penalty can cost you the ball and 50 meters, so you really don't want to take a penalty. And this is probably the largest field in any game, with it being 135 to 185 meters long, and then 110 to 115 meters wide. The ball is like a rugby ball, like this, so it's slightly easier to bounce than a football, but not as easy as bouncing as a round ball like a basketball or a soccer ball. And that's my culture fair.